Hi, guys. I like to wait till I see the number one show up, that there's one person at least, before I say anything. Who's here? Who's here? Who wants to say hi? Anybody? Somebody? Who's here with me? Karina. Thank you for saying hi. Hi, Sydney. Good morning. Anybody else? It means so much to me when you say hi. Gets me going. Hey, Betty. Betty June. Eileen S. Good morning. Okay, so let's start. Today is Monday. Hi, Susan. Hi, Steve. Steven. They're really good at the Aleph Memshin videos on TikTok. Hey, Eileen Kramer. Hey, Irma. Okay, we got our people. Today is February 17th, 2025. Hey, Chase. Hey, Benny. And we are smack in the middle. Where's Zeke? And we are smack in the middle of the greatest story Hashem ever told. And when I say Hashem, I mean the Ein Sof. Let me be clear about that. So, oh, Chase, you got your 74 pages ready. You're such a good student. You really are. My forest buddy. What happened in the forest stays in the forest. So the title of today's class is Saying New Things. Saying new things, right? And I realized it was a line on page 44 that we're going to read soon that Rabbeinu Yirah said. He said, saying new things. And that struck me. I highlighted it because I realized from what I had learned from Rabbi Gozlan, from what I know for myself, that what is the most exciting thing for me is hearing new things and saying new things. And I learned from Rabbi Gozlan that what actually transforms the Samach Mem, Satan, the adversary, into an advocate is one thing and one thing only. And that is chidushim, innovations in Torah. And Torah is an infinite database for innovation. Infinite database where you can mix and match a million different concepts, ideas, and come up with something brand new. And whenever I go to a lecture, listen to a class, the thing that lights me up is the thing I never heard before. And if it has the power to do that to me and the power to do that to the troublemaker, the Samach Mem, how much more so does it illuminate Hashem and make him proud of us when we look into his Torah and innovate, have novel ideas, play with his words and come up with new creations. You know, look at Rose. Rose is churning out 3 songs a day. It's pretty amazing when you get your and she's writing a book. When you get your creative juices flowing, it is working directly with the Ein Sof. You're pulling in from the Ein Sof. And it's exhilarating. Hashem loves it. We love it. Even the Samach Mem loves it. I remember that, hi Ruthie. Hey, Brandon Lee Taylor. On January 6th, 2021, when I went to Washington, D.C., Trump was like, he wanted us there. He asked people to come, so I went. So I went. I schlepped Josh with me, and it was freezing cold, just like today. I hear the wind whistling outside. It is cold out there. It was the same kind of cold that day. And we got there. We got up early in the morning with my friend Lee Gibson, who we made friends at other Trump rallies, and we met up there also. We met up at like 4 a.m. On the lawn, on one of the lawns. I forget the name. And we wanted to get close. Zeke knows this. I need to be in the front row. If I'm going somewhere, if I'm buying concert tickets, I'm going front row every time because I don't want to be in the back. So we get up early and we're walking with just beautiful patriots. A stream, no one's talking. It's just quiet. It's dark outside. It's freezing. We're walking, and I make my way. We duck and weave. I have mastered the art of the duck and weave in a crowd. You kind of have to go the perimeter of the crowd. I'm giving away my secrets. You can't go with the crowd. You got to go around the crowd. And I make my way all the way up to the barrier. And we go through all the speeches of the day. Eric spoke. Don Jr. spoke. Rudy Giuliani spoke. A bunch of people. And then finally Trump gets up there. And he's behind bulletproof glass. I knew it was him. I knew it's not a body double or a doppelganger or a clone or whatever the hell else is going on in the world today. But I know it's Trump because he's behind bulletproof glass and he's talking. And he's halfway through talking. And I look at Josh and I'm like, we got to get out of here. And I was freezing. Our feet were wet and cold. And it was just like we had enough. And the reason, you want to know why I left? There was one reason why I left in mid-speech and walked through like a wall of people to get out of there. It's because he wasn't saying anything new. He wasn't saying anything new. He was saying the same old, same old, same old. And I was like, it's Trump and I love you, but I got to get the hell out of here. He's not saying anything new. And that's when I realized that, even Trump, who I adore, if he's not saying something new, I got to get out of there. I'm going to show you pictures from that day. Here. Let's see if you can see this. Okay, this is how close we were. I kind of zoomed in a little bit, but there was nobody in front of me. This is the barrier right here. And this is Eric Trump and his wife. I think her name is Lara. Oops, anyway. And then this it looks like, see, this is him speaking right here. And this is Don Jr., I think. And this is my friend Lee. She got me a bracelet that day. This is the My Pillow guy walking past us. Okay, I think that was it. But I just wanted to show you how close we got that day. It was an amazing day. Okay. So I wanted to share with you, before we get into the reading of Rabbeinu Yirah, Read the Secret Document, which has a million new things in it to hear. I wanted to share with you an insight that I got on Shabbos. Every Shabbos now I make sure to get through the entire Parsha in Apples from the Orchard, which is the writings of the Arizal, which I look forward to it every week. I can't wait to get back to it. It's illuminating and it brings the Parsha to life. It says, oh my God, a million new things a minute when I'm reading. I have to stop and just absorb it. It's so much. And I read that at the Shabbos table also. I make my family suffer through it. Okay, hold on. Let's share again. Okay, we can go back. Oopsie. Oopsie. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So this is Parshas Yisrael. It's talking about Nadav and Abihu. What did they want to do? By bringing their own fire, their own offering to Hashem, they wanted to rotate the partsufim to face each other at the level of Netzach and Hod, because that's what they were. That's where the level they were at. So they got all excited to do that, and in the end, they were killed for it because it was a foreign fire. It was not something Hashem had asked them to do. Instead, they caused destruction. We have explained previously. Are you guys seeing this? Make that bigger. Too big. We have explained previously that the ideal coupling between partsufim occurs when they are both facing each other. Okay, you think of your tree of life, and you think of the images, the sphirot and partsufim facing each other. Then they can share their innermost essences with each other and achieve true union. As we know, the word for face, panim, is related to the word for innermost, panimi, since the face expresses the inner feeling of the heart and mind, the expressions of your face. That's why it's important to talk to each other. This is teaching us the psycho-spiritual relationships we should have in our real life. The partsufim are teaching us how to exist in the physical. Before they face each other, however, the partsufim are initially situated back to back. This is also a type of relationship, but a very external one, more of a truce than a true sharing. As in, we get along fine, I don't bother her and she doesn't bother me. So we all know marriages like that and relationships like that, and they're no fun. So I actually read this to my husband on Shabbos. I'm like, I always want our partsufim to be facing each other. And then it goes even further to say, hold on, shoot. Moshe Rabbeinu. Hold on. Here we go. It goes even further to say about Shlomo HaMelech, that Shlomo and Moshe, their names are one letter apart. Moshe plus the letter Lamed creates the name Shlomo. So it says, hold on, was this on the last page? I'm just going to paraphrase the Arizal. It says that Moshe was able to accomplish the lion's share of work, meaning he was able... Okay, I'm going to read this. If you say, how could Shlomo accomplish what Moshe could not accomplish, right? That Shlomo caused the partsufim to go face to face with each other. The answer is that Moshe Rabbeinu found reality in Egypt, sunk in the depths of evil and exile, and with Moshe Rabbeinu's great spiritual power, brought it out and rectified it, such that the partsufim were positioned in holiness, right? But albeit only back to back. Then when Shlomo HaMelech came, he found relative reality rectified, okay? He had to just put this finishing touch on it. All he had to do was rotate the partsufim to face each other. And this is done easily. It wasn't like the work of Moshe Rabbeinu, who had to lift the whole tree of life from exile into their position of holiness. And then the Arizal says, he goes on to say, it is much harder to bring reality from evil into holiness, out of Egypt into Kedusha, into Har Sinai, than it is to bring evil from holy indifference to holy mindfulness. Okay, that's what it means to go face to face on the tree of life. Partsufim going face to face on the tree of life. You're going from, right, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're indifferent to them, it's the worst kind of relationship you could be in. But then when you turn face to face, you go into holy mindfulness of each other. Thus, Moshe's accomplishment was greater, and Shlomo simply built on what Moshe had done. So then, what was my chiddush here? My chiddush was I thought about the letter Lamed, and I thought about what Rabbeinu Yirah Ha'ari has in his Likutei Yirah, his Sefer 9. I thought of this image, right? And I thought of this letter Lamed, right? Look at it. The letter itself looks like it's twisting. And then you see that this is the front. These are the 11 letters of Aleph Beis that correspond to the front of the tree of life, and these correspond to the back. This is the Panai and Achor. And what do they spin on? They spin on the letter Lamed, right? And this is the name that was the letter that was added from Moshe's name, the extra letter to make it Shlomo. And with this letter added to his name, he was able to spin the Parzufim that Moshe Rabbeinu had set up already. He was able to spin them from back to back to facing front to front into a state of divine mindfulness of each other. And that is the sweetest place for any relationship to be in, when you have a divine mindfulness inside relationship to each other. And that was my chiddush. That was me saying something new. I think it's that letter Lamed that causes the twisting. Hi, Max. Hi, One Consciousness. Okay. Let me see if that was everything I wanted to say. Yeah, and I really recommend listening to the video Rabbeinu Yirah had dropped yesterday. It is called The One True God. I think that's the name. I'll share it everywhere again today. I shared it yesterday. And I also have a great video of Aleph doing a reading of his One True God document, where Rabbeinu Yirah Ha'ari says something very new, extremely, extremely new. Something I had never heard before. I actually had heard it before. It was actually the very first conversation I had with him, but it took about 6 times of hearing it over and over to actually begin to understand and incorporate it into my da'as, to help me be face to face with Hashem, with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. That's really all that I'm after. I want a face-to-face relationship with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, where we're extremely mindful of each other. I submit my will to him, and in turn, he submits his will back to me. When you line up with the Ein Sof, you're going to see the divine timing. You're going to see the ease. You're going to see the nachas. You're going to see everybody in your life, in your orbit, benefit. When I'm at work, when one patient cancels, another one is calling on the phone to take that spot without any effort. It's absolutely astounding. And the more I read the works of Rabbeinu Yirah Ha'ari, and when we go back to Likutei Yirah, I'm going to share with you stories, actual stories of people who had miraculous healings from reading that book. Healings of the body, miraculous healings, just from reading Likutei Yirah Sefer 9. But more than that, in the details, in the small, small details of your everyday life, you're going to feel the Ein Sof with you. You're going to feel the Hashgacha Pratit, the divine specific orchestration that only you and Hashem know about. Like when you try to say it over to other people, they don't get it. It's like a private joke, only between you and Hashem. And it kind of gets a little diminished and lost in the repeating of it because it is so big inside your heart with Hashem. Okay, yalla, let's go. Okay. Page 44, Chase. You with me? Okay. A certain one named Gerim, he was wearing a red tallis, and he opened and said, Yirah, you are the faithful shepherd, the son of the king. Please speak of these things. I replied, the Son appeared, informing them of the Father, the illimitable one, the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. He inspired them with that which is in the mind while doing his will. Many received the light and turned towards him. But material people were alien to him and did not discern his appearance nor recognize him, for he came in the likeness of flesh. And nothing blocked his way, because what is incorruptible is irresistible. Moreover, while saying new things, speaking about what is in the heart of the Father, he proclaimed the faultless word. Light spoke through his mouth, and his voice brought forth life. He gave them thought and understanding and mercy and salvation, and the spirit of strength derived from the infinity and the sweetness of the Father. He caused punishments and scourgings to cease, for it was they that caused many in need of mercy to stray from him in error and in chains. And he mightily destroyed them and derided them with knowledge. He became a path for those who went astray, and knowledge for those who were ignorant, a discovery for those who sought, and a support for those who tremble, a purity for those who were defiled. Those whose names he knew first were called last, so that the one who has knowledge is one whose name the Father has pronounced. For one whose name has not been spoken is ignorant. Indeed, how shall one hear if a name has not been uttered? For whoever remains ignorant until the end is a creature of forgetfulness and will perish with it. If this is not so, why have these wretches no name? Why have they no voice? Hence, whoever has knowledge is from above. If called, that person hears, replies, and turns towards him who called. That person ascends to him and knows how he is called. It reminds me of, there's a certain prayer that you say in the sukkah when you're shaking the lulav and esrog, and it says, Eich shimcha nekra alai v'yir'u migeshes elai, to know how Hashem's name is called on you, so that the forces of the dark side will be afraid of you. That person ascends to him and knows how he is called. Having knowledge, that person does the will of him who called. That person desires to please him, finds rest, and receives a certain name. Those who thus are going to have knowledge know whence they came and whither they are going. They know it as someone who, having become intoxicated, has turned from his drunkenness, and having come to himself, has restored what is his own. He has turned many from error. He went before them to their own places from which they departed when they erred, because of the depth of him who surrounds every place, whereas there is nothing that surrounds him. It was a great wonder that they were in the Father without knowing him, and that they were able to leave on their own, since they were not able to contain him and know him in whom they were. For indeed his will had not come forth from him, for he revealed it as a knowledge with which all its emanations agree, namely, the knowledge of the living book that he revealed to the eternal beings at last as his letters, displaying to them that these are not merely vowels or consonants, so that one may read them and think of something void of meaning. On the contrary, they are letters that convey the truth. They are pronounced. Oh no. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Whew. Only when they are known. They are pronounced only when they are known. Each letter is a letter of perfect truth, like a perfect book. For they are the letters written by the hand of unity, since the Father wrote them for the eternal beings, so that they, by means of his letters, might come to know the Father. They asked, and you said the word is Yirah. Then how may I know that indeed these words are Yirah? I replied, for the squaring of these words, Divrei Torah, the words of Torah, reveals it. The first squaring is the value of Yirah. Daled, Daled, Daled Beis Resh, Daled Beis Resh Yud equals Yirah. So Divrei, in this iteration, in the squaring, is equal in gematria to Yirah. And it was made known to you that Yirat is the value of Torah 6:11. For these words of Torah, Divrei Torah, are placed into his mouth, and being illuminated by the light that is the endless within him, speaks of the things only known by God. 46. The fall of the Nukva of Atzilus. The friend said, can you explain the Nukva in the descent? I said, before the light of the word began to redeem the dough in the dust, the Shechina, she was in the region of chaos, being called Tohu and darkness, surrounded by husks and klipot. The klipot and its husks looked up and beheld the light of the illimitable one, the Ein Sof, being the word. Passing through the limits of the height, it pierced the depth. The klipot lay holden to the Shechina, who is the light of the initial thought, and she was diminished among them who assaulted her on all sides. They were enraged at her who is supernal wisdom. They were enraged at her who is supernal wisdom. As it is written, wisdom built her house. And she was called Nukva, being the female of the divine, and Emunah, faith, for she was the faith to all, being the veil to the divine word. The illimitable one, unto whom they could not grasp by the limit of the height and the limit of the depth. The word, the 22 letters, entered into thought, which was the divine mother, Ima. She then began to illuminate, and the darkness which surrounded her became agitated, for she was the 13th, and it was said she has 13 attributes, and it was sent from the height out of the 13th. It descended by the hand of a mighty warrior, and shot down like a flying arrow, piercing the depth. Assisting the emanations from the grasp of the darkness which overtook them. As the light of this flying arrow illuminated the depths again by the light of those supernal partsufim, the depths beheld its approach, and they pursued her, plaguing the mind with agony, sorrow, grief, anger, confusion, error, and with great terror. And all of these emanations in the midst of the darkness, great and terrible, gathered to take from her the light of the illimitable one, of the Ein Sof, who had descended the heights in great Yirah, awe, to assist her, the Shekhinah, in the depth. Woo! Wow. She was being attacked on all sides. She was like that arrow that came in carrying the letters. She was the veil to the letters. One of them took the form of a great serpent, another the form of the seven-headed basilisk, another in the form of a dragon, and that which was above them, the foolish one, whose face was like a lion who had brought forth many emanations through great error and madness, and they came to destroy her, the supernal wisdom, the faith of all in the midst of the chaos. And she was filled with great fear. The one called Adam Belial looked down out of the 12 emanations in the midst of the great chaos. He saw the restricted light, desiring to connect to the illimitable one, which lay above them, unto whom they could not grasp. And they descended, that they should take the concealed light within her, to strike her like a craftsman, who with forceful blows seeks to break a stone in the depths, and she was struck. Sparks which were part of her concealed light emerged, descending into the lower regions, forming things that were and were not. Page 47. Together, this Adam Belial, serpent, lion-faced one, seven-headed basilisk, and the great dragon grasped her by all sides, seeking to extract from the divine spark, which was the 22 letters of the Holy One. Her thoughts were fearful, and she cried out to the illimitable, seeing the heights and the one coming unto her. She sought to return, repenting with great tears and sorrow. Her thoughts, from Ayin comes my help. May Ayin Yavo Ezri. You are my salvation from the chaos of the depths of the abyss. Save me from the clutches of my enemies. And this is where This is where, you guys, just like the word Yirah, once you understand Yirah is the name of Mashiach, and you see Yirah anywhere in Torah, you begin to understand it through the lens of Sod. Hashem told you the secret, the name that he kept in reserve from the beginning of creation, from before creation, Yirah. He laced it throughout Torah. So anytime you see it, it's hinting to you something about the Mashiach, the Melech HaMashiach, the Raya Mehemana. The same thing with the word Ein, Ayin. It's talking about the illimitable one, the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. So you can dive into Torah through the Sod, you dive in at the top, and you swim it back to the Pshat. You take it back to the verse. And this is where the Torah opens up all her secrets to you. She will tell you everything if you first start at the top, at the Sod. The Pshat is where all the mysteries are hidden. So when it says Me'ayin Yavo Ezri, it's not a question. It's a statement. It's a statement. I learned that from Yirah. There's nothing in the Torah that's a question. It's always a statement. That's a game changer. Okay, let's go back. When these thoughts arose, lights, which were his angels of the highest, descended from the great stream of light that filled the regions of the heights. And she was lifted, the Shekhinah was lifted. The Nukva of Atzilus was lifted, rising from the depth, so that her feet would not touch the darkness. And it came to pass that the darkness had beheld her illumination, enveloping her to the left and to the right and on all sides, resting as a wreath or a garland on her head. When the darkness had perceived the illuminated thought, they fled and fell to her sides, descending into the further regions 1,000 and 10,000, and they were pierced as a flying arrow. She no longer feared the great demon who had risen from the midst of those 12 emanations. She beheld the illimitable light. She beheld the Ein Sof, the salvation of his word, the 22 letters. The friends cried out in confusion, "What is this madness? Where have you heard such things?" I replied, "It is written in Psalm 91. Let me read to you Psalm 91. In Hebrew. Yoshev v'seser elyon b'tzil shaddai yislonan Omar ladonai machsi u'mitzudasi Elohai eftach bo ki hu yatzilcha mipach yakush midever havus ve'evraso yasech lach v'tachas k'nafav tachsad tzina v'sochera amito lo sira mipachad laila mechetz ya'uf yomam midever ba'ofel yahaloch miketev yashud zaharayim mipo mitzidcha elef urvava mimincha Elecha lo yigash. Rak be'enecha sabit v'shulumas v'sha'im tir'eh ki ata Adonai machsi elyon samta ma'onecha lo se'una elecha ra'av nega lo yikrav ba'ahalecha ki malacha v'yitzav elach l'shmarcha b'chol derechecha al kapayim yisa'uncha pen tigof be'evan raglecha al shachal v'pesen tidrof tirmos kefir v'sanin Kivi chashak v'afalteu asagbehu ki yada shemi yikraeni v'anehu imo Anochi betzara achalzehu v'achabdehu orach yamim asbiehu v'yarehu v'shuasi. It's part of Kriya Shema. One of them came forward and said, Rabbeinu Yirah, you are faithful. You who are faithful, please expound this thing. I replied, Rabbeinu Yirah replied, Psalms 91, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Yirah translates this. When the divine thought who dwelled in the midst of the illimitable light, having been in the shadow of its withdrawal, perplexed in the shadow of the Ein Sof, of the illimitable. Verse 2, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him will I trust. Rabbeinu Yirah translates this, the light of the illimitable who shielded her and illuminated the mind and thoughts with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Surely he shall save me from the snare of hunters, from the noisome pestilence. Rabbeinu Yirah translates this, the Shekhinah looked up, being surrounded on all sides by the, oh my God. Oh, this Tehillim is the story of the Shekhinah. She looked up, being surrounded on all sides by those great evils. Adam Belial, the serpent, the basilisk, the lion-headed one, the dragon who hunted her, scheming plans to extract that light from within her, plaguing the mind and thoughts with assault. The mind and thoughts with assault. That's how they plague the Shekhinah. Verse 4, he shall cover thee with his breasts, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Rabbeinu Yirah translates this verse, for the light of the illimitable had embraced her to the left and the right, enveloping her and lifting her up as with wings and surrounding her as with a shield. Verse 5, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Rabbeinu Yirah translates verse 5. She was not afraid of the terror and alarms of Lila, which was the darkness that emerged with Duma, silence, and the arrow that descended as one who pierces the depth, neither the 12 emanations which are the day. Verse 6, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Rabbeinu Yirah translates this verse, the demons of the depth that walk in darkness, emerging from the 12th emanation, which was the noonday, called the 12th, for this is the 12th hour, and the 12th emanation from which they emerged. Darkness because it was in the midst of the chaos. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Rabbeinu Yirah translates this verse. The emanations of the other side could not endure the light of the Ein Sof, the illimitable one, who descended the heights, and numerous fell who had surrounded to afflict her, 1,000 to the left and 10,000 to the right, and they fell into the 13th emanation. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Page 50. Rabbeinu Yirah says, translates this, explains this. She saw the light cast down the darkness into the chaos and beheld the reward of those wicked ones whose strength and power had been stripped, even as they sought to remove from her. It was done to them. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. Rabbeinu Yirah explains this verse, the illimitable of which she cleaved to, became the habitation of the divine thought, filling the mind with light. What is that light? The 22 letters, which is the habitation of the Most High, driving out the darkness of the mind. Verse 10, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. How does Rabbeinu Yirah explain this verse? For the light removes darkness, and those powers were struck down, taking away reason to fear and casting them into outer chaos. Verse 11, for he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. Rabbeinu Yirah explains the illimitable light, the light of the Ein Sof, which sent forth angels to elevate her unto the light of the word, so she walk upon the depths of the abyss. Verse 12, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Rabbeinu Yirah explains, for her feet lifted from the spark that was in the midst of the depth, the hard spark, which was likened to a stone. And her thought ascended up, as it is written, in the beginning when Israel arose in thought. Wow. Verse 13, thou shalt tread upon the serpent and basilisk, the young lion and dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Rabbeinu Yirah says, for these had been cast down from the heights into the 13th and descended beneath the hard spark into outer darkness beneath her feet. Because he hath set, this is verse 14, because he hath set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. Rabbeinu Yirah explains this. Hi, Des. For the thought of the divine had contemplated the illimitable, and called to the name of the Son who pierced the heights, the secret of Yirah, which was the dwelling place of the divine. From the beginning. And so Shuv Yirat is Bereshis permutated, and it means the dwelling place of Yirah. This is what Yirah always says. He's the microcosm to the macrocosm. Like his name is Yirah, but there is a dwelling place of Hashem, the highest place, called Yirah. Shuv, the dwelling place. Gracious. Verse 15, he shall call upon me and I will answer him, and I will be with him in trouble, and I will deliver him and honor him. Rabbi Yirah explains the divine thought cried out. The divine thought, the 22 letters, cried out. And the illimitable, the Ein Sof, descended and lifted up the mind to the beauty of the unknowable, which is what we're smack in the middle of right now. If you watch Rabbeinu Yirah's video from yesterday, this will all become clear. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Rabbeinu Yirah explains, for the thoughts of humanity will always return to the divine. The thoughts of humanity will always return to the divine, seeking salvation, which was the light of the word. This is Geula. This is the thoughts of your mind returning through the letters back to Hashem and out of the confusion and darkness. That's the formula. This is it. This was Bara Shes, created 710, and Billy Yaal, expanded, is 710. Beis Yud Tes, Lamed Mem Daled, Yud Vav Daled, Ayin Yud Nun, Lamed Mem Daled. The light of the illimitable one is revealing itself. The light of the Ein Sof, the Or HaGanuz. The world, due to the depth of the illimitable, fell into ignorance, which produced error. And from error came evil. Ignorance, error, evil. The world was filled with great suffering because of this evil, and the error persisted in all that man did, systems made, all stemming from ignorance. But the light of the illimitable one is being made known to you all, like a person who awakens from a deep sleep or awakens from a deep amnesia, found themselves in the midst of the Father, the boundless, endless, and its light and glory enveloped all things. There will be much weeping and rejoicing, for ignorance will have passed on like a bad dream, and error will cease to exist, and evil will be driven out from the world. For just as I was slow of speech, literally mouth, this is Rabbeinu Yirah talking, and of a slow tongue, so will the Holy One, blessed be He, raise me in the end of correction, slow of speech in oral Torah, and slow of tongue in the written Torah, so that those who know me, Moshe Rabbeinu, will not say it is somebody else. It then states, at that time, an example, the redemption, it says, this is the Torah of the burnt offering, Zos Torahs Ha'olah. The Torah of Ascension. One of them came forward. Please tell me, when will this Yirah come? I said to them, it was mentioned on day 6, for he was to be the ruler of birds and beasts to subdue the earth. Page 51, page 52. This is Hashishi, the 6th. The Hey stands for 5,000. And then Shishi, Shin Yud Nun, Yud Daled, Shin Yud Nun, Yud Daled, 1 for each expansion equals 5752. That's the year on the Jewish calendar. The letter Hey is 5,000. Shin Yud Nun, Yud Daled, Shin Yud Nun, Yud Daled is a value of 360 plus 14. 360 plus 14 equaling 548 plus 1 for each expansion, so it's plus 4, equals the year 5752. And that is when Yirah will come. There's your answer, because he was born, as Abu Lafia points out, in the month of Tammuz. This is July of 1992, and this is when Yirah came into this world, July 19th, 1992, in Hawaii. One of the others came forward and said, "This is Tammuz, the son of Ishtar, or Ashura, called Astarte." Another said, "It is Krishna, who was born July 19th. He is the one who will enter into the world, and he is called the Black One." Still another said, "He is Maitreya. He comes from the heart of the earth," and Blavatsky said he would be born in Hawaii in the 1990s. Another said, "I heard he was marred in appearance." I replied, "It is written, just as the many were appalled at him, so marred was his appearance, unlike that of a person, his form beyond human semblance." Isaiah 53:14. These letters rearrange and say, "Ka'asher shamamu alecha rabim kin mashchis me'ish mar'ehu v'tir'u mibnei adam v'ta'iru mibnei adam b'nei adam kamaves ra'u mishichecha shmo Yirah sar imecha asher alecha mibeis mamon." The sons of man who are as dead saw their Mashiach. His name was Yirah, the prince of his mother, who went up from the house of Mammon. One of them came forward and said, "What is Sophia?" I replied, "Soph Yud Hey, the end of Yud Hey." And this is the value of which Eheyeh is expanded with the Yud. And the Atbash of Sophia is Chazir. Another said, "Please tell us of this place. What did you see?" Yirat, Torah. Yirah is the value of Torah. You did not deny, and therefore it was permitted to you to reveal these matters plainly. Because of this, you, who's out there listening right now, you and you, Allison, Chase, Des, Sydney, Irma, Ruthie, everybody, Karina, Betty, all of you out there, you will be blessed in this world and in the world to come. You are aware, and for this you are blessed. Okay, we will pick it up from here again on Thursday, God willing. What time is it? Oof. I went fast. Yeah, the PDF is posted on Yirah's public chat. If you want to join Yirah's chat, it's always in his comments at the bottom of his videos to join his WhatsApp so you don't miss anything. And I'll put it in my Telegram also. I always put it in my Telegram chat. Hi, Ray. Blessed are those who bless. I bless all of you that you should come to an exquisite intimacy with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, with the illimitable one. I wonder where he got that word, illimitable, to ask him. And may we all come to know the illimitable one together and see the Shekhinah restored back to her fullest glory. The Ein Sof is coming for her. The dough in the dust. The dough in the dust. It's also beautiful. It's a beautiful cosmic love story. Hi, Barbara. Hey, Barbara. Have a wonderful day, you guys, and I will see you, God willing, on Thursday. Hopefully this week brings many miracles, many overt salvations. Thank you all for coming.